Hey guys, it's Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a tutorial on how I do my photo books. I've been getting a lot of questions from my previous video on how to make a photo book, and actually for that video I didn't really get into the details and I just wanted to recreate that because I worked on a little quarantine project where I documented my life in lockdown. So I'm going to walk you through the process. I also use the Photobook online software, not the offline software which I used before, because I think Photobook Philippines updated their softwares. And just for the record, this isn't a sponsored video. I just personally am using Photobook because for me it's one of the more efficient ways if you want to get creative and try doing layouts and creating photo books and visual diaries for your personal projects. It's a really great way to start. My tip is actually for background, you don't really need to be good at Photoshop. Actually, I think this is way easier than Photoshop. It's more of like having the creative concepts in mind and also knowing what type of content you want to put into your photo book. So before we start, I just wanted to let you in on some reminders, so make sure to keep watching to know more.
So as I mentioned, for this project, the title is I'm going to make a little photo book. So this is 5 by 5 inches. My topic or title is Life in Lockdown, which is a visual diary. The main content is a visual account of my life in lockdown and adapting to the new normal. So with this in mind, I have decided to create a photo book. And the software that I'm using is Photobook Philippines, which is a built-in for their website. I will link it down below. Difficulty level, I would say it's easy. It's not as hard as Photoshop. And generally what you need would be photos or art, text if you're going to write something, and a general outline of your book contents. Personally, I made mine using Procreate, and I actually wrote on the fly, which you will see in my general overview of how I designed this photo book / visual diary / ebook. So let's start. So this is the interface of Photobook Philippines. I'm just checking out. So I click the 5 by 5 inch and I click personalize on the website. And with that, I am led to this software where I can start adding photos. So what I like to do is I transfer all of them in a very convenient folder, which is my downloads folder, because sometimes I'm just not very organized. And it's really simple. You just drag and drop. As you can see here, there are a lot of pages and photos. Now what I did was, instead of collaging the photos directly on the software, I actually did my own collage. That way I can just drag and drop, and I basically streamlined the whole process. As you can see here, the pages also are not yet final. What's nice about this interface is you can keep changing the order of the pages, and the tools are pretty explanatory. I would say it's not very hard to navigate. There also is a chat box at the bottom left. If you can see, there's like a button there where you can directly message someone and they'll be glad to help. So I'm just browsing through my collage archives. One of the things I'm really proud of that I started doing this year was actually doing collage, because that way I get to channel my creativity in a different way. So again, drag and drop. If I want to change the cropping, I can do that. I can also resize it according to the size. Take note also of the size that you're using, because this is a 5 by 5 photo book, so it's not that big. And with that, I wanted to make sure that the images are not very complicated on the page. And for the text, I'm just going to be very basic, and I'm just going to start typing here. What I did was, I usually like to plan in advance, but for this, I just wanted to do it on the fly. And anyway, it's a personal project. There's no editor who's going to check it or what. So I just decided to write directly on the page and then just edit the font and size accordingly. Because I love Courier New, I'm going to use Courier New. And there are not really a lot of fonts that you can use for the photo book. If you want to use a special font, or you have a font that you have on your computer, then you can make it a JPEG or a PNG and put it on the image and the page. So what I like here is actually you can customize the pages accordingly. What I did for these images were full screen. That way it takes up a lot of the full page, and I didn't really want to add in anything else. So this library on the left side is also super convenient because with that you can figure out which colors go best and which elements work together in building your spread. I am a very spread-oriented kind of person. I don't know if that makes sense, but I like how the order is that like on the left side I have an image or an artwork, and on the right side there's like a text, or vice versa. So this is kind of what I'm doing here with this page. So it's all about revisiting my hobbies. Actually, I realized like I have always been doing photo books for travels, and I never really got down to document about my daily life, mostly because I do that on my journals. But it's also nice to have this little tangible thing that I made, and it's really, really tiny, but again, it's really nice to have it immortalized in some sort of tangible object, which is what I'm doing now. And so I like to always browse around and check if I am sort of getting the story together as well. I didn't show you an outline of what the general content of this is because I actually don't have one. I just know that I kind of want to work around the concept of my life in lockdown, which meant like how my new normal has been, how my work status has been, how am I discovering and rediscovering parts of myself, and what I like, what I don't like. And at the end, I really just wanted to make like a little roundup of resources and books, films, and stuff that I've watched, read, and listened to, like music and stuff. So with that, I already have an overview of what I wanted the content to look like. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but you will see here there are like these bleeds. So text in this highlighted area may be cut off in print. So you have to take note of those. Usually before you go to the checkout, they're going to be warning you about this anyway, which you will see also later when I go to checkout. And because I got this specific voucher, I actually only have 20 pages, which isn't really a big deal because before I made an 80-page photo book and that was really tiring. So something like this, like low commitment, is I think a great way to start also documenting. And it's such a great exercise because it tackles a lot of creativity, not just in art, in writing, but creating a little book that you can call your own. Most people think writing or making a book is very hard, but actually it's not that hard. It's actually very fun and interactive because you might have some sort of idea of what you want your photo book to look like, but in the end, does it always turn out the same way? And it's fine. And I just like playing around with different elements. And as you can see, you might have noticed also like the artworks that I added here have that sort of similar color scheme. You see some pinks, some yellows, some greens, and that's basically it. And I think that also helps make everything look cohesive, even if it's a mixture of art and text and photos and different doodles. And yeah, actually this is my favorite spread, the films and series, because I just love writing about stuff that I recently encountered or watched, because I'm not the type to watch just because I want to kill time. I really like watching things because they give me some sort of insight into things. And yeah, so again, more editing. On average, this took me around an hour and a half to do. Of course, this is like a sped up version, and this is not the part where I do the photos and like compile the photos is not included. But I would highly suggest, like, if you want to create some sort of photo book like this, it would be great to have an outline and see, like, make a folder on your camera roll where you can edit all the photos there and like make a collage. And what you can do also is you can use photo collage apps like Nichi or Moldiv or something similar like Collage, in order for you to collate the photos easier. That way you can just drag and drop like what I am doing. I just went a little bit extra and did some Procreate. If you want to do some collage style work also, I will link my collage art how-to using Photoshop down below for your convenience and to give you more insights and ideas on how to go about this. So again, the alternates happen here. So left side text, right side image. Here it's left side image, right side text. I don't know if I mentioned before that I was supposed to work on a book this year, but I ended up not doing it because of the quarantine and the pandemic. So that is the proof of this. I mean, I could probably do it like next year, but I feel like it's not the right time yet, and it probably needs more time to just be out there and, you know, be in progress and just not think about it. I think a lot of the uncertainty that this pandemic has brought used to be so devastating to me. Like, I just didn't know what to expect, but now it's becoming more of like, now that this happened, this is what you can do. And with that mindset, I think it helps to also generate that sort of motivation. I don't know where my motivation is coming from, but comparing myself now, like August versus me in March, I feel much more determined. And also, it's always almost the end of the year, so I don't know if that makes any motivation or makes anything positive, but I'd like to think that this year was not really the best for everyone. So maybe when we move forward to the next year, it would be better. But, you know, what we have is now, and that's all that matters for now. Wow, what am I saying? Anyway, so one last look on my spreads. As you can see here, Photobook Philippines is really pushing me to remove the part here, like the text, but I try to go once a week, so I'm just going to fix that later on, because the issue with, you have to take note, like when you're doing photo books like this, is if you're going to use the whole page, the edges might get cut because it's called the bleed. So this happens a lot when it comes to printing, and it's something to consider. So you have to make sure that your photos or artwork are within the frame, just so you won't get disappointed and you know what to expect. This happens a lot because I've been doing books for quite a long time and I've experienced a lot of this, so I'm kind of used to it, and it's not really a big deal as long as you know where the bleed starts and you don't have anything important that is on the edges. Well, usually it's not, I mean, you don't really put anything important on the edges. Personally, for me, I don't really do that. So one of the things I also recommend is to click save on top. You can also see that there is a preview button with an eye. So if you want to see everything just on average, you can always click the preview button. That way it will be easier for you to see how your progress is going. And if you're feeling very overwhelmed with this, I suggest taking the time out to work on it, not in one sitting. You can always go back to it every few days and, you know, see which pages you want to work on today, and then tomorrow you can work on a new batch of pages. That way it doesn't feel like a chore. I remember when I first started doing photo books, that this was like 2018, I literally sat for a whole day, a whole Sunday working on it. So I think my workflow has, you know, become a bit more streamlined from then. Now I can sit down and finish it in an hour or less. But back then it was really a lot of back and forth and organizing, because the only thing that's going to matter when you go to this app is the fact that you already have the photos, text, and art ready. Because if you don't have that ready, it's going to take you really a long time. Or if you're going to filter through your archives, which have a lot of files, that's going to be even harder. And back then, I remember I had to edit the photos one by one because I cannot stand how the images don't look the same. You know, how with like the brightness and the filters and stuff like that. So these are things that are totally out of, I mean, it's a preference thing, and personally, I find that my tip would be to make your images a bit brighter or less contrasted, depending on what look you want. But for printing, it tends to become a bit darker, so that's a fair warning also. And you know how stuff on the screen does not instantly reflect to the actual thing. You'll see later. But generally, when I got the printed copy, it was printed well, and I'm very happy about that. How many photos? I have probably done like 5 or 6 photo books with them, so I'm pretty happy with the quality. And again, if you're not going to distribute this, it's a great way to just make one and use it like it's for your personal collection. because then the binding and everything is taken care of. You don't really have to stress about it and, you know, think about all the logistics and stuff like that. So this is the last spread that I'm making. I was recently obsessed. I'm still obsessed with this photo booth filter on Instagram. You see it on my stories like almost every day. So I added that to this image, and it reminded me of the photo booths I used to take when I was traveling, like in Berlin, in New York, and they have this like black and white filter, and I really liked it. And yeah, I mean, one thing that I also learned while I was doing this photo book is I do have a lot of changes that I acquired in the past. How many months has it been? March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months that we've been locked down, and a lot of things have changed, the plans, but I'm just trying to, you know, find more meaning in that, and, you know, doing things like this, like making little quarantine projects. I've also started to paint more, so I think that's something good that I got out of it. So now I'm just going to show you a quick preview of how everything is going to look like. So the colors, how the text is. Make sure to also reread and double check your text, proofread, because, you know, it's going to print. You don't want a typo there, or wrong spelling or wrong grammar. That's just going to be so bad. And yeah, the last page is actually on the first page as well. So the first spread is the back page and the front page. So generally it's so easy compared to Adobe InDesign, which is what I use for doing layouts and doing ebooks. And it's also very user-friendly, as you can see. I don't use a lot of the elements here already because, again, I already pre-made all the artwork. So I'm just literally dragging and dropping. And you can always create different overlays with this. So yeah, with this one, I'm trying to check out, but again, I have to check again because they're not really happy with the whole, like, the bleed. So the notices show which parts of the book are still something that you have to work on in order for it to be eligible. So there's also an empty photo slot that apparently I missed out, so you can just delete that. And when you see this everything is okay sign, just click on the cart. I'm adding my voucher here, which I bought from Shopee. I'll list the whole process in the description below. And then I'm just gonna click apply, and it's just going to instantly deduct, but you still have to pay for shipping. Shipping costs me 150 pesos for this one, which I got invoiced for next. So next, I just type in my contact details and click order now, and that's it. So this is the final thing. It arrived a week later. It's very tiny but very cute. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Here is a quick flip through for you. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye!